Hi, I'm Jen,
And I'm Kimberly, and
and
this
this is
is That
That
Vegan
Vegan
Morning
Morning
Show.
Show. Are you awake today, Kimberly?
Like barely,
Me too,
barely.
but I'm so happy to be here at 7 a.m. with you. I feel like this is the most excited I get waking up so early.
Same, because this is the only day of the week that I get up this early. And, I always make sure to shower because otherwise I really wouldn't be awake. But even today, I don't know, it wasn't enough. It
Yeah.
wasn't enough.
I,
But
I I'm usually up early because my cat likes to wake me up early, but I'm not like functioning
mhm,
early. Like I'm up, but like I'm kind of just easing into my day.
yeah, I get that. I feel like there's not enough coffee in the world right now, but I also know that I get so jazzed chatting with you that by the we're done, like, I'm just gonna be flying high and it'll all be good.
Aw, me too. That's how I feel
Yeah.
too. I always get excited as soon as I see you pop up when we're like in the waiting area. I'm like,
Yeah,
yay.
it's
We have
so
some
fun.
exciting things to talk about today.
We do, we have some really fun things. So anybody who's checking us out, remember, drop your, like, where you're watching from in the chat. If you're watching the replay, let us know replay and where you're watching from. And of course, any questions that come up, you wanna say hi, leave those in the comments too.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to know who's watching, where you're watching from. And yeah, any questions you ask just helps us because we want to tailor this content for our viewers and talk about things that matter to you guys. So yeah, please share whatever questions, insights, comments, feedback. We're open to it all.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jen, you found an interesting article the other day. And when I read the headline of it, I was like, okay, what is this? You want to tell the our viewers all about this article?
Yeah. I'm pulling it up right now. So it was on plantbasednews.org, which is a great website for different news in the vegan world. And the title of the article are "What Are Cheese Hands? The Carnivore
Mm,
Diet Symptom Making Headlines." And it's got a lovely photo
yeah.
of what cheese hands looks like. And it's like this yellow crusty stuff on this person's hands. And so yeah, so do you have the article up, Kimberly?
I don't.
Okay.
I
So
made some notes about it, but
uh,
go ahead.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I did should I read a little bit from it or should we just
Yeah,
dive in on
if you want to summarize it, whatever that you feel better
yeah,
about.
yeah. So I'll read like the first two paragraphs, which are regularly short, relatively short, and then I feel like that can like set up the rest of
Yeah.
it, just to kind of give everyone a sense of what this is. So Mick the Vegan, a well-known plant-based health educator, recently highlighted a little-known side effect of the carnivore diet that has sparked widespread discussion, what he calls cheese hands. The term refers to, now I don't know if I can say this word properly, but I'm going to try, xanthelasma, yellowish cholesterol deposits that appear under the skin, typically around the eyes, but in one reported case across the hands, feet, and elbows. So it sounds like this person had, that this is a condition that typically happens like on the face, around the eyes, but this person experienced it on their hands, elbows, and feet. So the case study published in JMA Cardiology details a 40-year-old man who developed extensive xanthelasma after following a carnivore diet for 8 months. His cholesterol levels soared for nearly 1,000 milligrams, well above the recommended threshold, after consuming large amounts of animal fat, including cheese, butter, and fatty meats. So that's like the introduction of that. Then there's like additional information. So, Kimberly, what were some things that were in your notes that you wanted to touch on with that?
Well, my very first thought was, you know what doesn't have any cholesterol in it? Plants.
Yes, good point.
and, and just the idea that mm, that eating only animal products, and of course there's excuses like comments on the article, other stuff I looked up where people are like, well, nobody eats just exclusively animal products. This guy was so extreme, that's why it's happening. But like, you don't need to, what just you having your diet being mostly animal products, it's just constant cholesterol just coursing through your body, and then you get to a point where I guess your body can't handle it anymore and it starts coming out through your skin.
Yeah,
And it's horrific to think of what this person and other people who are eating that way are putting their bodies through. And then of course all of the horrors and cruelty, um, all of the animals who end up on their plates have to endure.
yeah.
But I mean, what did he do after that? I'd like to know, did this guy, is he still eating a carnivore diet, or like has he seen the light and started eating plants? What did you think about the article?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I kind of like wonder too what happened afterwards. A few different things came up to me for me. I was thinking about the China study
Mm,
and how one of my favorite documentaries is the Forks Over Knives documentary, which talks about the different things that they discovered during the China study, and just talks about the carcinogens in a lot of
mhm,
animals, especially like meat, like grilled meats and beef, uh, and just even if you have a balanced diet of meat and vegetables, it's still not good for you.
mhm,
That we have learned that, and there's other nutrients too in plant based proteins.
mhm,
Like for example, tofu and beans are loaded with like fiber and other types of important nutrients. And fiber helps prevent colon cancer.
mhm.
So eating a high fiber diet, of course, nothing is foolproof, right? Think, their genetics come into play with these things as well. But what we fuel our body with, uh,
Mhm.
has a big impact on it. And also just the cruelty piece of it as well.
Yeah,
Just all the animals that, when you become vegan, you don't just think about it as, you know, a piece of food, right? That piece
right.
of food has an identity.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, my I don't even see, and it's been decades at this point since I've seen animal products as food. It to me, eating the flesh of an animal or the secretions of an animal are like if you handed me your shoe. I'm like, "Here, this is your lunch today." Like, that's the equivalent to me. It's absolutely not food.
Yeah.
Um, and I hope that more people will start to see it that way, and I think for people who are new to veganism, uh, reaching that point is like the point of no return, right? Because once you don't see that stuff as food anymore, now it's just not even an option. There's no more temptations or thoughts about, oh, maybe I just have this one thing, or if you have a longing during a holiday for a tradition,
Mhm.
and we'll talk a little bit about this next week, is you don't see it that way anymore. If you're longing for a food that you used to eat growing up or when you were with family, you now think, okay, how do I veganize this? You don't have a thought of, well, it's a holiday, I'll eat it this day.
Right.
So I'm excited about that. Not to like move away from today. We'll get back on track, but just a little something exciting for the viewers for next week too. We'll get into kind of that as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to next week's show as well because yeah, we got Passover and Easter coming up. I can't believe we're almost into April.
I know.
Where did March go? And so yeah, I feel like that's going to be a great topic. to dive into. But yeah, getting back to the cheese hands and just eating a lot of meat and just the I feel like there's still a lot of like, false narratives out there
Mhm.
about how we need meat.
Right.
Um, one of my favorite books by Ed Winters, um, also known, oh my God, I just
Earthling Ed.
thank you, Earthling Ed. Thank you. I'm
You're
glad your
welcome.
brain is still functioning.
A little bit.
I was like, oh my God, how can I forget Earthling Ed?
What's this guy's name?
Thank you. Earthling Ed. Ed Winters has an amazing book that came out last year called How to Argue the Meat Eater. And and win every time. And it's not really about arguing for the sake of arguing. It's about having constructive dialogue, how to um, have conversations about those difficult topics. Because as vegans, we're always challenged,
Mhm.
right? I feel like when I go to when I'm with family who I don't see regularly, and then they find out I'm vegan, I get like challenged a lot, and
Mhm.
there's questions out of curiosity and wanting to learn, and then there's, well, I'm going to show you type questions.
Mhm. Yep.
so, so how to argue with a meat eater? It's not about arguing, it's about having a debate. And it gives you all the tools for all of
Mm.
that. And he talks about, like, he really debunks all the different things that people challenge the vegan diet, just the vegan lifestyle, and all aspects of it, right?
Mhm.
And he talks about like studies that are done, but who's funding these studies? And I think that's a very important thing too. Like when you read articles, it's important to like read all the different things. Like you were checking into different aspects of this article, right? It's important
Mhm.
to look at sources, look at different viewpoints, who's funding the study. And he talks about how like years ago when people were smoking and the cigarette companies, didn't want people to know it was bad for them, they would fund studies to show that the opposite, that it wasn't,
Mhm.
until finally the truth could no longer be hidden anymore. And I
Right.
really like that example that he shared, because it very much outlines what, there's old information. Look, society grows and evolves, and more information, science grows and evolves, the medical industry grows and evolves, and what was once known, you eventually learn more information. Right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So I feel like the old food pyramid stuff no longer applies.
Right.
But it's hard. Yeah, change is hard. And yeah, I'll like switching to a new lifestyle, like, if it's new to you, it can be an inconvenient truth, having to acknowledge the horrors of, animal uh, products, whether it's the horrors of what it does to your body, but also
Mhm.
what's happening to the animals. So, yeah,
Yes.
what are your thoughts on all of that, Kimberly?
Yes, I 100% agree. And I also went to, while you were chatting, I went to PCRM, which is one of my favorite websites, and I'm going to put it
Mm,
in the comments.
great.
If you scroll down to the bottom of this page, you will find a resource at the bottom called the Plant Plate. Let me just go back and make sure I've got that right. The Power Plate. And that is their version of the food pyramid, which is now for them shaped like a plate. And thank you. And so I think, we have some organizations out there that are showing people, hey, this is actually the healthiest way to eat. What I really appreciated in this article about Cheesehands is that there's a quote in there that says that there's no legitimate long-term evidence to support health benefits caused by eliminating plant products. So people on TikTok and like Instagram and wherever else people post videos, there's all this stuff about don't eat seed oils, hard eye roll on that. Don't eat this plant, or there's, these plants are toxic, and it's things like blueberries, and, which we know is one of the highest antioxidant fruits. And we need antioxidants to
Yeah.
work on all the free radicals in our bodies. And this is like real stuff based on, science by real scientists, not your favorite TikTok person. And so this idea that people are saying like to just consume all animal products all the time is really concerning. And they are really doing themselves such a disservice. I mean, the fact that you can have cholesterol coming out of your skin when you're consuming only animal products, like that is horrifying.
Yeah. And
Ugh.
imagine what it must be doing inside your body
Mhm.
if it's coming out on your skin, because there
Right.
must be a lot of internal damage, I would
Yeah.
think. Um,
Yeah, that you just can't process everything that's there, running through your body. Ugh.
yeah, no, that it's really, really scary to think about that. And there's a lot of, you have a lot of, you got the paleo diet
Mm.
and the Atkins diet I remember was like those are like some popular ones that consume a lot of like animal products, and
Mhm.
because people want to avoid carbs.
Right.
And because I was reading up about on the carnivore diet a little bit yesterday, in preparation for our conversation, and a lot of it is people treat carbs as the evil. And first of all, not all carbs are created equal.
Mhm.
So there's carbs that are actually good for you. So if you're concerned about your health, then the shift I would think should be about what are the healthy carbs
Yeah.
that I could be eating, right?
Mhm.
Which Forks Over Knives is website is loaded with information on how to give yourself the good carbs in your body.
Mhm.
And and again, it's we want to eat the rainbow. And like we have colorful veggies in our background, right?
Mhm.
So, yeah, eating the rainbow, all that supports our body, gives us all the nutrients that we need.
Mhm.
And we don't need to rely on animal products anymore. And I think, again, it's change is hard. And if people are shifting their focus on, well, carbs are the real evil, I'm going to avoid that. But then eating one type of food isn't good for your body either.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I know like people who still eat animal products might see a piece of flesh on a plate and think, "Oh, that looks so good." But think about how it feels, not just this idea that like, "Oh, I wanna eat that, that looks so good." But think about looking at that plate and it's like brown and you feel that it's dead. And
Yeah.
then you look at all of these vegetables behind us. You look at the produce section of a grocery store, or, just like, put a bunch of vegetables on your counter. The feeling that you get when you look at these beautiful, colorful fruits and vegetables, it's more than just, "That looks really good, I wanna eat that." There is, like, a whole experience of all of the different colors, and it just feels beautiful, and you feel nourished and almost, like, revitalized by it. There's just such a difference, and I think that our reaction to it also shows like here's where we should be. I don't know. That's how I've always felt about when we look at food. Um, there's a stark contrast, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as vegans, we have the opportunity of setting the example.
Mhm.
I'll share an example. So I've shared before, my husband's not vegan. And he'll have non-vegan things, but he has to cook those.
Mhm.
So yesterday I actually did some food prep in advance.
Nice.
I always tell myself I'm going to do it, and then life gets busy or we get busy on the weekends. And I'm like, no, I'm going to set aside 2 hours. So I roasted up some sweet potatoes and like Cajun spices and I did some Brussels sprouts. I roasted up in advance and put it away in the fridge. And then when it came to dinner time, I was going to make tofu. My husband had salmon he could have made himself, but I don't think he wanted to. He didn't feel like cooking. And I was making tofu for myself. So I just, shared the tofu. And he really enjoyed it. Like I made this I used to use smoked paprika, coconut aminos, onion powder, garlic, like different spices, and quickly marinated the tofu, air fried it. And it came out really good. And the vegetables were seasoned really, really good. And it was really filling because you have all the veggies with the tofu. And he was really happy with it. Like
Nice.
And he was like, this is really good. And so I'm sharing that because it's about being an example. And like when I'm with other non-vegan family members and I have an opportunity to bring a dish, that's that opportunity. Like I feel like there's the horrors of what happens in the animal industry, but that's not always the easy way to reach people. By switching it to food, because I feel like that's the thing. People feel threatened by their food being taken away from them. So when you show them that, you can have food that still tastes amazing and is better for you and no one had to die for it, it's like a win-win all around.
Yeah, absolutely. And, anytime that we can talk about how we live and then demonstrate it and show how wonderful it is, that I think is the key, which leads us to our next segment about the actor Mikey Madison. And so thank you for finding. I know I just learned about her. I haven't seen the movie that she was she won the Oscar for that.
She won the Oscar, and the movie also won for Best Movie. And I watched the movie. It's a bit of an intense movie to watch, but her acting was amazing. Like that is got to be a very difficult part to play that she played. And let me know when you see it. We'll talk about it another time.
Yeah,
but
I will.
Yeah. So continue.
So it turns out Mikey is vegan, which is amazing. So you had found an article about her and then also a video, right? Of her on Drew Barrymore's talk show. So tell me, like, what made you choose to talk about Mikey Madison today?
Well, first of all, because you and I are talking about, we want to incorporate an entertainment segment. There are a lot of celebrities out there who are vegan, and what I really like. So she taught, they Veg News. This article is in Veg News. I had it up here. Now it disappeared. But I remember basically, they talked about, how she's vegan and how she's shared in interviews the different things she eats as a vegan. And she was recently on the Drew Barrymore show, and you can go on YouTube and you can watch this clip. I thought it was really cute. And she's showing Drew how to make chocolate chip cookies that are vegan. And it was a recipe she's always made. And she shares how when she became, vegan, she changed the ingredients to plant-based ingredients. And so what I really loved about this is an example of a celebrity setting the example, right? She is showing people that, hey, I have this chocolate chip cookie recipe that I used to make that I loved that was not vegan. And she shows how she veganized it and makes this with Drew and shows Drew, the audience, and just everyone watching that you don't have to lose out on amazing desserts. So what I really loved about this story, and it also talked about Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande as well, who are also, popular actors right now with Wicked. Did you see Wicked?
No, not yet.
What?
I know.
What?
So behind on so many things.
Well, you were moving during that time, so I guess you
Yeah.
have that. Fine. But so and they openly talk about their veganism as well. So what I really liked was you have these Oscar nominated, Oscar winning actors going out there doing their thing, and in their interviews openly sharing that they're vegan, they're not hiding it. And I loved how Mikey just shared this recipe with Drew and everyone watching, because who knows who might have been watching that, who might have had like, thoughts of I could never be vegan. And now you see that the celebrity is vegan and veganized a recipe that she always made. And she shared in the interview too how she like made it for a friend. Like she
Mhm.
recently made the cookies for a friend. I think it was like a friend's birthday or something. So those are my thoughts on why I felt like it was an important story to like touch on. What are
Yeah.
your thoughts, Kimberly?
So I too loved the that she was really clear on, well, I veganized this because I'm vegan, and talked about sharing it with people, and how much others have enjoyed it. However, and I appreciate that this happened, because now we can have a conversation about it. Is During the segment, Drew talks about how Mikey rode horses as a kid, and
Yes.
she shows pictures of Mikey with her horse, and one of the pictures was Mikey dressed as like an old-timey inmate, like prison inmate, and then
Yeah.
the horse also having stripes. The horse was a black horse, and there were white stripes painted on the horse. So I thought that there was a really good opportunity for Mikey, as this celebrity that people are looking to and curious about, uh,
Hmm.
to not just say, "Hey, I'm vegan and here's what I eat." When Drew brought up the horse thing, it very was a great opportunity for Mikey to be like, "Yeah, I love horses. I used to ride horses as a kid, but here's why we shouldn't ride horses. And here's why we shouldn't paint horses or other animals." I did a podcast episode a couple of years ago about a king pigeon in New York City who had been dyed pink, they think for likely a gender reveal.
Oh,
And
I
the
remember that.
Yeah, and the pigeon was like found in the park, and somebody brought it to Wild Bird Fund, and he, oh my god, I said it, brought the bird to Wild Bird Fund, and they weren't able to save him. They named him Flamingo because he had been dyed pink.
Yeah.
And so maybe that horse didn't suffer anything, because horses are so much bigger than birds. It's not obviously not an exact, trade-off there. But it was a really great opportunity for Mikey to say, "Hey, look, here's how people change. Like, yeah, I used to ride horses. I even painted my horse for this Halloween contest that we were in, and now I'm horrified by it, or I would never do that again, and I wouldn't encourage someone else to do it." So, I appreciated her just coming out and using the word vegan, which to me is so important, that we're not, when we are truly vegan, that we're not calling ourselves plant-based, because
Yeah.
it has such a different connotation, a different meaning. When we talk about how we eat, we can use things like whole food plant-based to talk about the diet we follow. But
Yeah.
veganism as a lifestyle, it's really great that she's using that word. But I really was disappointed by the whole horse thing.
I'm glad you brought that up, Kimberly, because that was a disappointment for me too. And I felt like it would have been nice if she, had said something about that, because, yeah, people change, right? Obviously,
Mhm.
she wasn't always vegan, and
Right.
it would have been a great opportunity. And maybe that was something she just felt weird bringing up in the middle of that segment.
Yeah.
And also depend, because it takes time to develop that, I think, uh, that strength to like talk about these things. It's a skill,
Mhm.
right? Like
Yeah,
talking
for
about
sure.
these types of things. So yeah, I agree. It was a little disappointing that she didn't touch on it more, or say, or follow up with that. And maybe the paint that she used was a better thing for the horse. Not that I agree with any of it. But yeah, I'm really glad that you brought that piece out of the interview, because that was something that did bother me in it for sure.
Yeah, and it made for good conversation here, and I think for people to think about, and maybe even, as vegans, maybe we can start to feel even more empowered to start sharing those messages and to learn how to share those messages effectively, whether we're reading Ed Winter's book or we're working with a vegan who can also help us build our public speaking skills, and just finding that confidence to share who we are. And some of that comes from just doing it for a while.
Yeah.
And some of it comes from doing it for a while and then also wanting to build on those skills. Before we go, though, I just want to drop out a link um, to our MailChimp landing page, which you can find in our link tree as well. But I wanted to call out this because we've been talking about chocolate chip cookies.
Yes.
And if you go to this, to our landing page on MailChimp, you will be able to sign up for our mailing list. We'd love to have you there. We promise not to spam you because that's not vegan. But in addition to my chocolate chip cookie recipe in there, we also have some other really amazing recipes from both of us that
Mhm.
some of our favorites that we'd love for you to try out. So please visit that link, join our mailing list,
Absolutely.
and get your free recipe ebook.
Yes, please do. And we'll also put it in if you're watching the replay, we'll put it in the video notes as
Yeah.
well. So this way you can go connect. And yeah. Wow, Kimberly, I can't believe it's been over 30 minutes.
I
We had
know
such
that
a
went so
great
fast.
conversation. And I loved how we just were able to talk about all these different points. And we hope you found value in it. And we look forward to chatting with you all next week.
That's right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.